Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the Engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Arts Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.
Hey, this is Tyler Jones, and you're listening to the Element Podcast. What's happening, all my woods people? It is a special day today. This is a special episode. You're hearing from us on a Tuesday. KC, this is crazy, man. What's happening?
Oh, my goodness, dude. I don't even know what to do with my hands right now.
I don't either.
It is so cool because, to be quite honest, I've been looking forward to this day for like 9.5, 10 months, something like that. A long, long time.
Yeah. I didn't know it was going to be this long of a time, actually,
I know.
9 or 10 months ago. But over the course of the last year, we've really done a lot of thinking and a lot of work, and we have arrived at the day. This is the drop date. This is the release date. We finally have the ability to publicly view Nameless, which is our most recent film, one of our most hard-earned films, and it's the big monster. Well, I say monster lightly. Giant, maybe, Kansas
we got to
buck.
tell that story in a little bit. Yeah.
Big old Kansas buck that we killed last year on some public land.
Congratulations, dude.
Thanks, dude.
You killed a big deer.
It only took you 10 months to tell me that.
Oh, whatever.
I'm kidding. But it is 10 months later, and you're telling me that. So thanks, man. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, This, we won't go through the whole story because we want you guys to go and watch it. And if you want to go watch it, the link is the only link below in this episode show notes. So if you go down there and look at it, there's the link. But real quick, before you click that link, make sure you know that we're running a contest to win another OnX Premium membership. The way you can win that is simple. Go to Facebook, find the video that we have posted, and share that link and video on your Facebook page. You'll be in the running for the OnX Premium membership. And then there's another contest we're running. We're giving away an Exodus Trek trail camera.
What a prize, dude.
I know, that's pretty good.
Those are two awesome things that I use all the time.
That's right. So the way to win the Trek trail camera is you would go to YouTube and you put a comment about whatever you think is cool about the film, your favorite part, favorite emotion, whatever you saw in that film that you thought was awesome. You go there and you comment in the section below the video. Tell us something cool about the film that you liked, and you will be in the running for the Exodus Trek trail camera. So if you want to cut us off right here and go to that link, that's fine. I won't blame you. But we've got a few other things we want to talk about real quick. And we had a couple of questions that we kind of came up for each other for this podcast. This is probably going to be a shorter podcast episode. It's just a special thing because we're really excited about this thing. We put a lot of hard work into it, and we even did some post-day production type of stuff and video work just to help tell the story better. And so we really hope you enjoy it. But we've got a couple of questions. How should we do this? Should I start? Should you start? What do we think?
Let me just throw one right at you now.
Let's go for it.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to lay the groundwork right quick.
Okay.
All right. So 2 dudes hop in a truck. One dude has been hunting in the Midwest many times in his life. One dude's never been.
Mm-hmm.
One dude's a hunter. One dude's a videographer. The dude who'd never been, Casey, is going to film this thing, right?
Yeah, also a new videographer.
Yeah, also pretty new at the whole videography thing. That's true. And we hop in the truck and we head out.
Mm-hmm.
And it is cold front coming, rut city up in here, and the hype is real the whole way.
Yeah,
right?
and leaders coming through our spot.
Goodness,
in
there's
Texas.
no lie. Oh, yeah, but you can't be everywhere for the cold front,
That's right.
When you're going to be a traveling deer hunter, you got to pick your spots.
Yeah.
And we picked a pretty good one.
Yeah.
We head north, head to your lease
Mm-hmm.
that you and your family have been on for quite a while. We hunt that for 1 day solid. Mm-hmm. Wind shifts on us.
Well, the first afternoon, we didn't make it in time.
Yeah, we actually went and did some glassing.
We had trail camera issues, so we had to pick up on the way up there. It gave us a little extra time on the road.
Yeah, we did.
And so we did some glassing, which was beneficial, I think, for the future.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm hyped about the spot we found that day.
Yeah, for sure.
So the next morning, we hunt your stand.
Yep.
The next evening, we hunt your stand. See a really good 3-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And, you can tell that deer are cruising. We saw cruising bucks that evening. Had a wind shift. And the next day, the wind wasn't going to be good.
Mm-hmm.
Made a choice to go hunt public.
Yeah.
At that moment, was public land a time filler, like a way to be in the outdoors while you were waiting on the wind to get better for your stand? Or did you really think, I'm going to go out here and kill a deer?
Well, I would say if you could put a ratio on time filler versus like a positive attitude, optimistic outlook on shooting a deer, it would have been more heavy in favor of time filler.
Yeah.
Probably. But I still had a lot of optimism in the situation because of the time I spent in Texas on public with you. And, like I've told the story here on the podcast several times, or I've told this kind of big, broad theme, is that I didn't really have a lot of faith in public land when we first started hunting. And, in Texas, a lot of times it's pretty lackluster unless you draw a really good hunt or something like that. But I think that there are certain states that do a good job of A, having more public land, B, managing their tags and their potential
And just
mature
natively
bucks.
having more deer.
Yeah, that too. Yeah,
And when you're in the
exactly.
Midwest during the rut, you always feel pretty good about your chances if you're downtown at the cemetery. You know what I mean?
How much corn, do those deer have to eat?
Oh,
you
yeah.
know? And beans and whatever else. So, I definitely would say that it was one of those things like, because the wind, if you remember, wasn't great for that public that we hunted either. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great.
Well, we didn't really know what good wind was there at that point.
Well, I remember I had an idea. I said, if we can get south wind, that's for sure our best wind. And so anyway, we still had kind of a bad wind, but it wasn't terrible. And then, we hunted there 2 hunts. The next afternoon hunt, the second hunt, the wind actually shifted around. Basically, it was we had a buck that was several hundred yards off that was going to cut our wind in the next few minutes, and we had to just leave out with 10 minutes of shooting light left because we didn't want to mess things up. And then the wind switched around to the south the next morning, and things got real good. But it was definitely, I think, one of those deals where I was like, you know what, if I'm going to go screw something up, let's just go out this this piece of public that we can screw up and not worry too much about it. We don't know what's out there. And the thing is, if we'd have screwed things up out there, we would have never known what we were missing.
I know, no kidding.
So it was definitely a kind of a time filler more than anything. I felt like, not that we had a bunch of crazy big bucks running all over our property either. We were hunting basically 2 deer that we knew of. So which either one would be awesome to shoot, and hopefully they show up this year again. They're old deer, so I don't know. How should we go about this next? Do you want me to ask you a question, or
Sure.
do you want?
You got one that's appropriate?
I do.
All right.
So,
What I'm looking at is a grin that very few people know from Tyler right now. So this is gonna be good.
yeah. In all honesty, was there ever any jealousy in the situation after I killed the buck? And it doesn't have to be like a bad, like you hate me or anything.
Ooh, that's tough, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't call it jealousy. I like aspire to kill a deer just like that or bigger.
There's one
like
out
that.
there.
That's the feeling. Whatever whatever you describe that as. I never like in my mind said, I wish I was Tyler. I wish I had the bow right now. Because I mean, I've told you this, like, it was such a cool experience for me because I was new to filming and I got to film a freaking toad get smoked, by one of my best buds on public land. Like, you can't beat that.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's a reason why I got a tag this year. You know what I mean? I'm ready to go to shoot one. Like that. Yeah, I don't think I ever had experienced any jealousy over the thing. And I'm not saying that just because, like, you're here and I'm here and I don't want it to be weird. You know what I mean? Like, I'm for real. Like, we only get so many deer seasons in our life, but we do get more than one.
Yeah.
And maybe if that was like my only chance to ever kill a deer and I didn't get to, that might be different. I don't know. But like, that's how I look at it, man. It's just like, my world is constantly getting bigger in this thing. That opened my eyes to more possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
It's way more of a blessing than it ever could be jealousy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just wondering. I mean, like, I could see myself being like, "Daggone, man, I want to shoot a deer on public."
Now, don't get me wrong. I was like, I probably have had the thought, like, there better be daggum another big deer on that place next year because I found that spot. I have said that.
There is another
I know
buck.
that's the good thing is that we got him on camera and we saw another shooter while we were there that we didn't get another chance at.
Yep.
So, like, by all means. Oh man, that place. Dude,
yeah, no,
that place.
I know, dude. I am scared.
Let's go.
I'm scared.
Yeah. So, it is pretty common knowledge that you did kill a deer on this trip.
Yeah.
We're not alluding to anything at the moment. You smoked a toad.
Yeah.
So, what was the standard for public when you went out there? Like, not just in like buck size, but also an experience. Tell me both of those, I guess.
Like the experience that I wanted.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, being that the like majority of my inner being wanted it to just kind of be a time passer, there wasn't like a whole lot of experience that I had. Or that I wanted out of it, I guess. And this probably sounds super bad and materialistic or whatever, but like, I honestly, I wanted to shoot. I just more than anything, I wanted to shoot a deer that made me happy, like, so I wasn't like looking.
Oh, you never should shoot a deer that doesn't make you happy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. But I didn't have like an experience that I was striving for. I didn't have an adventure that I set out to have or whatever on that hunt. So, like, it was, I think you kind of know the answer to the standard of the size of buck.
I kind of want you to say it.
You continue to joke with me on this one. But there was, like, a 2-year-old that, like, he's a gnarly-looking 2-year-old. I mean, he'd probably go like 75 inches,
Oh, he'd whip the tar out of any buck around here.
Dude,
but
he was, he was kind of heavy for such a small, like, basket, little 8.
Yeah.
But he had 8 points. He had decent brow tines relative to everything else, He was tiny, honestly. Like, this is a deer that, like, people don't think twice about. And I was like,
I don't think that we portrayed this very much in the film, so I'm going to kind of lay it out.
Mm-hmm.
That deer came in kind of on my side. You and I were like 180 degrees from each other in a tree, 2 tree stands right next to each other. Or in the same tree, like just back to back pretty much. And this deer kind of comes in probably at my 2 o'clock. So for you to shoot him, I'd have to move out of the way. And I kind of didn't move out of the way so you wouldn't do it. Do you remember that? You kind of had your bow around there, and you're like, she was like, nah, I'm just going to stay right here. That way you can.
Well, I couldn't see him that good, so I give you that. Like, when I first a glimpse of him coming in. And he looked like a decent little buck coming in, maybe a 3-year-old, whatever. And so I'm like getting ready, and you got a better look at him. But even still, like when he comes in, I'm like, man, what should I do? What should I do? You're like, not be an idiot. And so, like really, honestly, what I wanted from out of a buck there was just a 3-year-old or bigger, like I didn't really have like a horn size, antler size, or whatever, but like something that's respectable and 3 years old. And I think most 3-year-olds in the Midwest are going to be a decent looking buck, so that was kind of like what I expected, and which is crazy because as long as I've hunted up there, we pretty much, if it's not 5 years old, we're not shooting it, and so, and then as soon as I leave that property, I'm like about to smoke a 2-year-old,
Yeah,
So,
I know. And it's funny how, like, we do that. Like, we've had this experience a couple times where if it's a place that we've put, like, a lot of time, work, and effort into, there's kind of a standard that we really want to shoot a good buck on that place. But as soon as we go somewhere that, like, it's just kind of free-for-all, like, just... Hey, let's go have some fun. It's like let's kill a deer.
That's right, dude. That's right.
And it's cool. I like that feeling. So
yeah, me too.
After Nameless, this is part 2, still a second question.
Okay.
How have those two standards changed, or have they?
I think that as far as size or maturity of buck, I think like I'm kind of still there again, same spot, because now you have a tag. So like it would be selfish for me to just sit there and try to, like pass deer. And we haven't really talked about like how we're gonna hunt. I don't know how we ever decide who's gonna hunt really. But like somehow we never have any issue. It's like, I'll just
normally it's
whatever.
like a win thing.
Yeah.
But I've talked about like actually most places we go, when we're out of state, we're probably both going to try to have bows with us, Like, for instance, especially like in that particular tree, there's many situations where I would have the shot or you would have the shot, So I think it could kind of work that way, at least in that scenario.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. And so I don't know, like, I think I'm still there. I don't know. This is me being honest, and I don't know like how people are going to take this. I'm sure a lot of guys can relate, but like if it's like for instance, you passed a deer last year that was kind of on the smaller end of maybe that like 3-year-old buck or whatever.
Yeah,
you know
like
what
the
I'm saying?
smaller end of the representative
right.
kind of thing.
And so like if that was the case, it'd be a different story. But if a 3-year-old comes in and he's like just a like ho-hum 8-point, except for his 2s and 3s are like 10 and 9 or 10 and 8, like good 2s and 3s, and he just looks cool and I like him, I'm probably gonna just smoke him,
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where I'm at, I think, on that. And as far as the experience goes, like we're looking to do some decoying next year possibly. I don't know, like I think that would be really great way to cover a lot of land. I'm not sure it's the best way to kill the deer we're after or not. I don't know. I guess it just depends on what deer's within hearing distance when you go to rattling or whatever, but I don't necessarily like just being up there where we're at. The experience for me is just being there. I mean, it's different country. It's remote in a way, like it's kind of weirdly remote, I mean, you can see so far, and when you can only see one house or something like that, like it's pretty kind of creepy, eerie feeling that I like, kind of,
Sometimes it's hard to get out of the truck because you just want to drive around.
Yeah.
Like just driving and see stuff.
I know. Because you can see so far. Yeah, it's cool. So like that's kind of the way I feel about the experience side of things. My question to you. There's not a part C, is there?
No,
okay.
It's just A and B.
Okay.
The C's and the KC.
That's right, yeah. So, with the majority of whitetail hunts happening on private lands across the U.S., why do you hunt public land for an animal that is so wily and thrives on public land or on private land?
So obvious answer is that private access is limited, okay? And that's going to be like, I guess, like the caveat, like, well, I don't really have a chance to hunt very much private. Well, if I tried as hard to find private as I do to find public, probably would have more private places to hunt, you know? I think that, like, I've talked about this before on the podcast, but in 2013, I kind of caught this bug when I was hunting a really big deer on public land, and ever since then, man, it's just cool because it's the biggest tracks around, at least in our area, and oftentimes in other states you go to as well. And then so you can cover a ton of ground, see deer how they're supposed to act, still hunt them on food sources sometimes, and then I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I like the competitiveness, like in the sense that anybody can go out there and do that. Anybody could have been sitting in the stand or in the tree that we went in and sat in and shot this deer and beat us to the spot, but they didn't. You know, like, that's cool to me. I like maybe competitiveness isn't the right word, but just like the equal opportunity for anyone to go do this. And I'm going to go do it, and I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
I'm going to make it work. I really like that, man.
For sure, man. It's cool. I mean, I don't know. I was thinking about that because, you know, like you and I have acquired a couple of permissions this year, and, you know, we've talked about how, like, they're liable to make us a lazy hunter.
No
if you
kidding.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, I mean, in a way, you know, I mean, there's definite different challenges to hunting a private spot than a public spot, you know, or whatever. But, I mean, there's also, you know, I feel like kind of like the same deal with me in the Midwest. Like, I'm hunting, if I'm hunting private, I'm looking for a 5-year-old deer. If I'm hunting public, it's 3, you know, or whatever. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like I'd have a better chance of shooting one on public and in some certain scenarios if my goals are set like that, which is kind of exciting. Like you were saying earlier, like sometimes it's exciting to be like, man, I got a pretty good shot of shooting a deer this year or this, you know, this hunt or whatever. Whereas like on my private spot there, if we're holding out for 5-year-olds, like there's a good chance I'm not going to have a chance at a 5-year-old that whole year.
Yeah,
you know,
guarantee you. Well, you know, if he's not on your property, then he's not there.
Yeah.
If you're hunting public, then, oh, well, I'll just, you know, drive 6 miles over here and hunt this spot.
Right.
You know,
Oh, that's, I mean, the freedom is just like awesome.
And to be honest, man, like, I say that preposition too much, don't I? To be honest, but I am honest when I say this.
That's
so
good.
it's meaningful. As I continue and as I learn more and hunt more on public, this just grows. But I feel that at the moment, there's not a lot of situations, like, say I was, like, flying a helicopter across the U.S., had my bow and my hunting stuff with me, and accidentally fell out and survived, and all my stuff was fine. There's not a lot of situations I feel like I could be dropped into and I wouldn't be able to kill a deer because I've hunted public. If I had very effectively hunted corn feeders my whole life, like I did for much of my life, and killed a lot of deer off a corn feeder, and then had to go and try to figure out something about, like, how deer are using water or, you know, doe bedding areas and how bucks are going to check those, and didn't know anything about it and never tried to hunt that way, I'd be lost, you know? And I think that public, like, forces you into perfecting your craft.
Yeah, I'd agree, man.
So this is my last turn to get you to trip over yourself.
Oh, no.
No, it's not going to be trip over yourself. But I feel like we have a very open line of communication and a very, like honest thing going on right now. So I'm going to get you to be honest about something. How much do you think you deserved that buck? And the deserved being the emphasis of words there.
Ooh, it doesn't matter which way I answer this. People gonna hate me. Let's see. How much do I think I deserved to shoot that buck? Man, that is a tough question. I'll say, let me just try to formulate a few thoughts here, and I'll probably stumble while I'm doing it. So I think I deserved the buck. Like, I think I have spent a long time hunting and don't be smiling at me, and learning. And then we've spent a few years on public. And honestly, like in 2016, it wasn't a whole season, but like I didn't pick up my bow and take it out to public one time. I bought a public hunting permit so that I could follow you around with a camera just to learn. Like I don't know many people out there that are like, yeah, man, let me just grab a camera and follow some dude around, you know, in the woods for a couple of months and, you know, try to figure things out. You know, I mean, like that's a true like apprenticeship, you know. I mean, I think you when you apprentice, you earn the right eventually to like take on the actual job, you know, and do what you're supposed to do. And so like there's that. And I was thinking about this other aspect maybe yesterday, but like you have to have luck on your side every time that you shoot a deer, I think, you know. I mean, it doesn't matter, but a deer, if he's, you know, I mean, he could be standing there broadside 25 yards on a piece of private eating from a corn feeder, and when you send that arrow, you're going to need some luck. You know what I'm saying? Just that he doesn't drop 14 inches or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And so there's always luck involved, I think. And I think that we were truly lucky being that we were hunting some pretty wide open country and this buck ended up, you know, coming right to us. At the same time, we put all the pieces of puzzle, you know, looking at it, I mean, you in the film, you go, dude, you called it. You said we needed a south wind and like, you know, this and that. And like, so we had the assumptions correct. We made the assumptions and we knew that, or we thought with a lot of, not certainty, but with a lot of promise that if we ended up hunting where we thought we needed to be, in the tree we thought we needed to be in, and the wind was right, that it could happen. And I think that, I think that looking back on it, we were right in that assumption and we did the right things. And I can look back, and we've talked about this several times, on land in Texas, where maybe not as many mature bucks, not as many deer in general, possibly. Like, I can see plenty of times when we screwed up and we did the wrong thing. I mean, we talked about it like last October, early October, we should have been hunting oak trees and we were idiots and we were not, you know? And, so, I mean, I think like that's another case we learned something. We learn every time we go out. So like, I think, yes, I deserved it. I think, yes, that it also took a lot of luck. The experience helped us out. But, you know, there's always the 12-year-old boy that shoots the 240 or whatever that, like, doesn't have a clue what he's doing. So that happens. So I guess, like, where we kind of get to prove that maybe it wasn't a ton of luck is where we come up this season and how we end up this season. But, I mean, you passed a great buck last year for a public land Texas buck that was literally like 5 yards from our stand. I mean, he came all the way right under us. You know, you were drawn twice on him. And then we had like your main target deer last year at 28 yards and couldn't get a shot at him. And so I think like our encounters show that we're learning stuff and that we maybe have a little bit of knowledge. But all of this said is to say this as well. You know, like a person can go and hunt private or public. I mean, we know people, we've talked to people that have, you know, are new hunters, say, and they hunt for 5 years and they hadn't shot a deer yet, you know? And I don't think, I mean, yeah, they're a new hunter, but I don't think that that's necessarily the only thing. You know, I think sometimes it's just not in the cards for you for a deer to show up. I mean, last year, like you said, we had 2 encounters with pretty much shooter bucks for most people on public land in Texas, and both of them you had the bow in hand. So like last year when I had a bow in my hand, I did not actually have an encounter on Texas public lands with a deer that was a shooter.
Yeah.
so, and it, you know, obviously it happened elsewhere for me, but like, that's kind of my point is like, if it's not in the cards for you, it just ain't going to happen. And so, I don't know, that's a long question or a long answer to that question, but it's kind of a difficult question. Yes, I think we deserved it. Yes, there are people out there that deserve it that aren't getting that either. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it's just luck, you know. I really, literally, like, have never won on a scratch-off lottery card. So, I mean, there's several. I know a guy that won $30,000 in 1 month, you know. Yeah. So, like, that's just one of those things, man. So, so does that satisfy what you were kind of trying to get at there?
Yeah,
okay,
I
just
think
make
so.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, so my last question is, what kind of stoke did the hunt for Nameless give you for the 2018 season?
Dang. Oh, my gosh. So, after that hunt, I pretty much have spent... I don't have the average, and I wish I did. You know how your phone tracks how many steps you have?
Yeah.
I wish my phone would track how many, like, hours spent on Onyx Maps that I've put in since then.
Dang.
Because I guarantee you there are, like, 68 waypoints inspired by this hunt on the map of places that I map scout and say, okay, if this is just like that was, and this is how that was, then this place right here should be just right. You know, like, So pretty much you could say, like, I don't know if stoking is even the right word, because stoking, like, it's like a bro word, right? But stoking it means like to like kind of prod the fire a little bit to kind of tinder it up. More like just taking and opening the door and squirting the lighter fluid in there, like the whole bottle. That's kind of how
gallon of gas on
it. Yeah, like that's. I told you when it happened, I was like, I get it now. And this is even before we even killed that deer, but like, I get why people drive 10, 12 hours to go to the Midwest and hunt. Like, it totally makes sense. You know, don't get me wrong, I love it here. But, you know, in Texas, it's cool. But, man, you start going to, like, these places that are known for deer and have good deer densities, and just the rut happens when it's supposed to, and you can see, like, the action. It's insane, man. It's like what we live for, and what, like, you and I around here are, like, trying to grasp a hold of in all these different places and barely getting to experience it, and then you go up there and it's like system overload. Yeah. And it's so cool. I cannot wait.
Dude, I know. And, like, what's funny is that sometimes I get a little worried with your map dots. So I'm like, you know, I'll be like, we'll be chilling and be like, dude, I found this new property. And, like, your thumbs are moving so fast that I can't even see what you're doing. Like, but there's, like, 14 properties you're trying to show me, like, you know, dude, we only got 2 tags.
I know it.
But so we're like, you know, but yeah, I mean, obviously, like, if we didn't have a plan B last year, we wouldn't have shot that buck. Yeah. And so, I mean, you're coming up with a C, D, all the way through Z pretty much. Yeah. But, you know, like, the thing is, I mean, you may have a few properties that are a few miles apart or whatever that, like, you know, it's good to know that, like, yeah, this property is here next to this property, but either maybe it's not good or just I would just really check out this corner so we can drive by and be efficient when we're driving by and scouting or whatever quickly, you know. So it is good to have all those dots, I feel like, you know.
And, I mean, to be honest, man, Lord willing, we got 40-plus more seasons to go do this, you know. And I know you should never take that for granted, but golly, why not plan on it? Because you don't want it to be the other way.
Well, and another thing is, if we do decoy stuff, like, we're going to burn some properties, you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying, dude. Yeah, you can, you know, hit 15 map dots in one day if you're, you know, going in there and cruising with the decoy and doing that thing.
That's right. So,
for real.
It's exciting, dude. I'm pumped. I just wanted to kind of, I mean, I kind of knew, but I just wanted to see
you could probably tell a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's good to get that out in the open. That way we both understand how excited Casey is for this.
That's right. Yeah. So that kind of, like, that brings us to a wrap with this, with this episode. We're just really excited to bring y'all this film. Hope you guys love it as much as we loved making it and getting the opportunity and the blessing to make it. This week, in a couple of days, there's going to be another episode out, and it's going to be more back on our normal track. We've got our regular episode airing on Thursday, and we have Mr. Chris Derrick of Sick of Gear, and that was a pretty cool interview. We got to go to the headquarters, and what's your favorite part about the headquarters there?
Man, that's a tough question, too.
I know mine.
Okay, tell me yours, and I'll tell you mine.
Mine was the doll sheep mount that they had.
The one in the backpack?
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool.
That was sick, dude.
Yeah.
There was they had this like doll sheep. Obviously, like you probably have to shoot more than one doll sheep to get yours mounted this way. But it was like, it was the cape rolled out and like had the hooves kind of hanging out, like they had been caped out and they were just hanging on the back of this pack. And wasn't it a mannequin that had
it had on like a sick,
or whatever.
Yeah.
And then the doll, was attached to the back of the pack with his horns hanging out and all the skin, the cape or whatever kind of hanging down. It was dirty, dude.
Yeah.
It was cool.
That was cool. I think that one stuck out a lot to me. But outside of like our interview with Chris, of course, which was awesome, and like getting to hang out, and like being in that, like we were kind of in the room where like stuff gets done at Sitka too. That was cool. And I think that like looking back on the board behind us, and like I'm not going to tell you everything that was there because they told us not to, but like just in general, seeing like Sitka's commitment to conservation was cool because like that's kind of always been something I hung my hat on, but like deep down inside I'm like, man, I feel cool when I wear this stuff, like I'm not gonna lie, but like I justified and I say that I feel cool in this, but like the real reason I stay here, the real reason I stick with this stuff is because I truly believe in their message, and their message is to make the greatest gear on earth, but it's also to conserve the resources that we all enjoy and make sure that they're there for generations to come. And I could see that in everyone that we talk to.
For sure,
at headquarters.
Yeah, and you'll get to hear that when you listen to the episode with Chris. Interesting guy, family guy, just like us, man, and really easy to talk to. It just felt like one of the dudes, So I hope you guys are looking forward to hearing that. Pretty cool, couple cool stories. Also, just wanted to say thank you guys for watching the film and for your feedback in advance, because I'm hoping that you want to win that Onyx Premium membership or the Exodus Trek trail camera, and therefore, like I said, share the post on Facebook, comment on YouTube, and you'll be in the running for those two products. But anyway, thank y'all so much, and we'll see you again here on Thursday. God bless, and remember, this is your element.
Live in it.
Hey everybody, listen up. I got mega huge news. Meat Eater Live is heading back out on the road. That's right. Join me and the crew. Clay Newcomb, Cal, Yanni, Spencer's going to be there. Phil the engineer's going to be there. Meat Eater Live headed back out. Now, when you get every ticket, okay? Every ticket you buy, you get a signed copy of our new Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook. This tour is celebrating the release of the book. Buy a ticket, get a signed copy, Meat Eater Outdoor Cookbook, wild game recipes for the grill, smoker, camp stove, and campfire, which I'll point out is a $38 value. Here's where we're going to go. April 23rd, the Mesa Art Center in Mesa, Arizona. April 24, the Balboa Theater in San Diego. April 25, the Grove in Anaheim, California. April 27, the Crest Theater in Sacramento. April 29, the Union in Salt Lake City. April 30, the Egyptian in Boise. May 1, the Wilma Theater in Missoula. May 2, the Bing Crosby Theater in Spokane, Washington. May 4, Revolution Hall in Portland, Oregon. And May 5, the last day of the tour, Pantages Theater in Tacoma, Washington. For tickets and more information, visit the events page at themeateater.com. Hope to see you at the show.